What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 90s First Show, where we talk about 90s media and the things that we love. Join Joe, Justin, and myself, Mike, as well as the occasional special guest, as we talk about the movies and shows that we love the most. If you would like to support us, please share, subscribe, and leave a review. Now, enjoy the show. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the 90s First Show, where we talk about the 90s content that we cannot stop watching. My name is Mike, and I am with my co-host, Justin. How you doing today, Justin?
I'm doing great. I am looking forward to this podcast with one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yes. We are really excited to be reviewing this movie, but first, let's do some housekeeping. Only one thing on the docket here for you today. Well, actually two, I'm sorry. So when you're listening to this episode, we will actually be doing a Matrix Resurrections review, but it won't be coming out until probably the first week of January. So stay tuned for that. It will give us time to kind of watch it and dissect it a little bit, and also time for us, honestly, to schedule all three of us together to actually review it all together instead of just us two. We miss you, Jelly. I know you're listening, so we miss you. And then the other thing is that if you are listening to this, we're just going to be taking a hiatus for the holidays. So we'll be taking a 2-week break in order to spend time with our family, not worry about podcasting. We'll try to do some updates on the socials and stuff throughout those 2 weeks, but we're not going to promise anything just because it's the holidays. We're spending it with our family. And so thank you for listening throughout this whole entire year. From Justin and me and from Joe, as well as Cicero on the Test Your Mind side, we wish you a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you guys celebrate. Again, thank you so much for making this year our second best year, because it's only the second year. So thank you guys so much. So without further ado, if you're watching the video version on YouTube, first of all, why aren't you subscribed? Secondly, you probably notice that we might be reviewing a certain 1999 film. Justin, do you know what film we're recording or we're reviewing?
It's time to wake up, Neo.
We're recording. We're recording a podcast that's reviewing The Matrix. Yep, that's right. In honor of the new Matrix coming out, we wanted to revisit the original. And Justin, let's get some high level thoughts from you. I know it's a 1999 film, but we're gonna do it the same way. Let's get some high level thoughts, and then we'll give a spoiler warning, and then we'll dive deep into the plot. So, high level thoughts: The Matrix, the OG. What you got?
For cinematography, this film is top notch. It's got the best transitions that I've seen in a long time. I just rewatched it again recently, and I do that almost monthly. I love this movie so much. Very interesting concept that sparked a lot of people to feel like things are happening in the real world, and it's a great concept of the future and machines and AI being in control of everything and using humans as pretty much batteries. And it's about waking up and seeing that, are we in a simulation? Are we actually podcasting right now? And are you actually listening right now? I do feel like this movie.
Let me hold you off. It's kind of like the Truman Show. Like, are you in a show right now? Are you being controlled? To be doing certain things in the world. Kind of funny.
Yeah, I do feel like not only cinematography wise and transitions and music is excellent in this film, top notch quality. But the actors alone, not Will Smith, unfortunately, but Keanu Reeves plays Neo, the lead role, and he does it to the T. And he kind of has split personality during the whole film, because he's got one side wanting to stay in the Matrix, the fake world that he's been living his whole life, and then also the woke version, getting out of it and realizing which one is real and what you believe in.
Mm-hmm. Good high level thoughts there. So, Justin, for me, upon rewatching, like, agree or disagree with me, but
Disagree.
the Matrix is perfect. I'm sorry, you guys could blast me on social media here, but like, besides maybe a couple nitpicks, like those are tiny nitpicks I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The Matrix is, in my opinion, a perfect sci-fi film. Like, it has all of it. It has the guts of what makes a perfect sci-fi film. It makes you think and wonder of what actually is happening. What is the mystery here? That's what sci-fi is all about to me. It's about the thrill and the mystery. And not to mention, you'll like this because I saw a connection because I've recently watched these two films, Alien and The Matrix, and how The Matrix actually, in my opinion, you could fact check me or something like that, but they have had to take some of the inspiration from Alien specifically for The Matrix. I mean, you got the person that's within the group, that's the betrayer, such like Alien. You have a sentient group of beings, in this case in the Matrix machines. In the Alien, you have the xenomorphs, of like people that are in, or a being or a group of things that are influencing and kind of running the show in outer space in Alien or in the Matrix with these guys here. But I just saw these 1-to-1 comparisons, and to me, Alien is almost a perfect horror film, like a horror sci-fi film. And so, like, just to see those connections and just like this tried and true formula from Alien brought into the Matrix, like it's just perfect. And Keanu Reeves, all the guys there, all the people there in this movie, just like really, really, really hit it well. And it's just phenomenal. Like, Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus, Carrie-Anne Moss as Trinity. Like, everybody plays their role perfectly, and I just enjoyed the whole thing from front to back. Like, it is perfect in my opinion. And so, yeah, blast me on socials if you want, but The Matrix 99 is a perfect sci-fi film. That's my overall thoughts.
If anyone would like to blast Michael, make sure to hit up the Twitter, not the Facebook. Because if you go to the Facebook, that's where I'm at. And I also agree, so you can hit up me as well. I do agree that it's a phenomenal film. I would say almost 10 out of 10. I am a movie, buff, and I've grown up with movies my entire life, and like I said earlier, the cinematography, what I mean by that is transition cuts, soundtrack intro and outro, and also the scripting. So if you look at, I'm going to give a few here of the transitions that they included in this film that are just unique and stand out, and also make this film unique in a way that the director knew what he was doing. And that's what makes good films for me, because I love to see the transitions. I love to see all the acting and the scripts. The opening cut for this film is zooming into the code on the monitor. If you look in my background, if you're watching, or green text in an old MS-DOS kind of setting, it zooms in on the text, and that enters into the movie. And it really puts you in an immersive experience of, you're entering this world. You're entering into the computer world. And another cut, not even a spoiler, is they use phones to communicate with each other when plugged into the Matrix, and when outside in the real world. They're able to communicate through landlines. And for anyone that did not grow up where I grew up, that's a phone that's attached to the telephone pole outside. So it's not a wireless phone like a cell phone. They do use those, but the landline is how they enter and exit the Matrix.
Yeah.
And thinking of being plugged in directly. And one of the other cuts is a zoom in on the headset of a phone, which was a big hook phone with holes for the microphone. And it zooms into the holes of the microphone, and that transitions as if you're going through the wire. And it was unique enough that it was something that set this movie apart. And it made this movie feel unique because it played along with the setting and the story.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about transitions, like it's basically in the first moments where Trinity is on the phone trying to get and you have a truck that's like about to run her over. And then she just disappears. So like you just talk about those little minute details that just kind of, they work so well in this movie. This movie is brilliant. It's perfect. I love it so much. So with that being said, let's get down to a little bit of the Matrix plot. So I know it's 1999, but if you have not seen this film, first of all, what are you doing? Go watch The Matrix. It's on HBO Max. Hit me up on the flip phone. I will send you my Blu-ray copy. Like, I don't care. You need to watch this film. It is one of the best of all times. And so, obviously, The Matrix, 1999 science fiction action film directed by the Wachowskis. It is written by the Wachowskis, and it is starring Keanu Reeves as Neo, Lauren Fishburne as Morpheus, Carrie-Anne Moss as Trinity, Hugo Weaving, Joe Pantoliano. And we just... Justin, you talked about the cinematography. We got Bill Pope over there. This is just, it's a brilliant movie, guys. So let's get down a little bit to the plot here. So right at the start, there's an abandoned hotel in a major city, and the police quarantine, they kind of corner Trinity, who Trinity, we come to find out that she is part of this sort of rebellion group that is trying to, well, let's give it bluntly. They're trying to search for the one, and they're trying to search for the savior of the real people within the Matrix. And so the Trinity is in the Matrix right now. She has kind of superhuman abilities because she's been practicing those and stuff like that, and we'll get to kind of how they implement some of those things, which is, I think it's amazing. But they are grouped. She is cornered by what are called agents. So let's touch on the agents here, because I think we'll get to Trinity a little bit later. But Justin, the agents, like how good is this villain? Like, really?
Oh gosh. Hello, Mr. Anderson.
Oh my goodness.
Plugged in machines or programs running to keep people in line, pretty much, and to keep people from getting out and messing up the robot's plan or the AI's plan. And the actor that plays this, I do have his name handy. Phenomenal acting skills for this gentleman.
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving, right.
He was also obviously in Lord of the Rings as well. Hugo Weaving's great. So,
yes, his voice, his stature, the weight he brings when he walks in a room, makes him play this role perfectly. You know, from the first interaction with Neo, when Neo is in the Matrix and threatening pretty much his whole life, the weight that he has with his voice makes you feel almost fearful of this character, and it really sets the setting of no one's ever hurt a agent, no one's ever killed, no one's survived an agent encounter. We just run. It sets that fear, and that's the element that is a really one-to-one with Alien, like you were saying, of this perfect creature that is threatening everything, and you can't fight. You know, one of the biggest things for me with this film is the like I would say the way you look at it and you think, what is the goal of this film? What is it going to make you want to think after watching it? And what is the story going to make you believe? And believe is a very strong word in this film. And also choices are a very strong word in this film. I feel like this is a very choice-filled movie. It's got lots of different things that the characters have to choose, one or the other. And those options are clearly displayed on the screen, whether it be a red pill or a blue pill, or whether it be, are you the one? Are you going to do this? Do you believe in yourself to do this? You know, don't think you are. Believe you are.
All right, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So, so we're at the beginning. Trinity she runs to a public telephone where this is where they introduce kind of like the sci-fi element a little bit more. Like to start, you just kind of had this like idea of like this superhuman, like Trinity's just for lack of a better term, badass. Like she's just awesome, defeats all these people, and then all of a sudden she gets to this phone. She's calling somebody. She's like, I need to get out. So like, what do you need to get out of? Like, and so she gets to this payphone. All the while, Hugo Weaving's Agent Smith is in this truck about to run this payphone stall over. By the way, a payphone is something that you have to, put quarters in to make a call. Yeah.
Call collect.
Don't call collect. And anyway, so she's on this phone and she doesn't know if she's going to get out or run over. She does get out. So, yeah.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to stop you. Our viewers are Superman fans, right? You are on the duck side of the argument between the two of us here. And Superman changes in phone booths. That's what a phone booth is. Also, Doctor Who uses one to travel around. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, Batman's better. So after that, it cuts to computer programmer Thomas Anderson, who is also known as Neo. And Neo isn't actually a name that was like, like predetermined or something. This was a name that he got from his hacking abilities and his ability to code and stuff like that. And so that's his hacking alias, Neo. And so Neo is what he's called the rest of the film. Besides what Agent Smith is like, Mr. Anderson. So yeah, he's basically puzzled by online encounters with the phrase the Matrix. And so Trinity eventually contacts him through this party and she's like, Neo, the agents are on to you. They're gonna find out.
Let me cut you off one more time. There's a huge foreshadowing quote that happens before he goes to the party. I want you viewers and listeners alike to look out for this. When he's talking to a gentleman outside of his door in the Matrix, this gentleman says a quote, and I caught it this last viewing. It says, "Sounds like you need to get unplugged, man." And I was like,
I did
that's
catch
foreshadowing.
that. Yeah,
that's
I
foreshadowing.
I did catch that. So yeah. So basically, Agent Smith, the agents don't know who Neo is, and kind of right off the start, we don't know as well. Mm-hmm. And so, but the one person who does is Morpheus, and so Morpheus sends Trinity to this party that Neo ends up going to kind of like warn him that the agents are kind of after Neo because they believe that Neo has some type of idea of who this Morpheus person is. And Agent Smith, the agents are trying to get their hands on Morpheus because Morpheus is, as we come to find out, he's awake. He's part of this rebellion, and he's the leader. And so, yeah. Let's touch on Morpheus though. Like Morpheus as a character, Lawrence Fishburne, man, it's just perfect. Like, what do you got on Morpheus there, Justin?
I feel like Morpheus. Like I said, the scripting in this film is phenomenal and stellar. Like anything Morpheus says holds weight. Any line that he makes towards Neo is powerful and makes you think, and that's what makes good acting. This gentleman, Lawrence Fishburne, couldn't have picked a better guy to play this. He is so good in so many quotes throughout the film. I quoted one earlier about the don't believe you are, or don't think you are, believe you are, or know you are. He is the introduction for Neo into the Matrix, into learning the truth and believing it. And without him, Neo would have never been taken out of the Matrix. He was really the centerpiece to getting the chosen one. Like he was the centerpiece to get Neo out and to search for him. And that was we'll talk about another character, the Oracle, in a bit. Yeah. But that was his goal, to find the chosen one.
I'm coming. Anyway, so basically a team of agents and police led by Agent Smith arrives at Neo's workplace to search for him. And this scene is just great. You have Morpheus who gets a FedEx driver to deliver a flip phone, a wireless flip phone to Neo in order to like direct him away from the agents. And I love this scene. Like Neo's just like, oh my goodness, like everything that Morpheus is saying is right, but then he comes up to the point where he's like, okay, now something in the real world is causing a conflict here. I don't want to fall off this building, so I'm not going to climb on that scaffolding. And then he gets caught. Can you go through the next scene after he gets caught, please? Because this is one of my favorite scenes.
The interrogation.
Yes.
So the last thing or one of the things that Morpheus said to him on the flippity phone, was, we've been watching for a long time, and they have also been watching you. And when this scene opens, there's a little bit of like humor, I guess, because you have window washers on the outside of this. Oh no, that was earlier. You have this is a closed off room with like agents and Agent Smith sitting across from him, and you've got Agent Smith with this giant binder and his glasses on, sunglasses, dark, you can't see through them, and an earpiece, and he just sits down contently against across from Neo, undoes his binder, and opens it and starts flipping through. And he is the first choice maker on the agent side for Neo. You can either, we've been watching you for a long time. You seem you live two lives. One where you go as Neo, the computer hacker on the online space, and one where you have a future, pretty much. Yeah. And it gives him a choice to either, do the right thing in the Matrix world, or, where we live now, or continue to rebel. And then they let him go. And they let him choose. And it's there is a very stressful situation that happens before they let him go.
Well, yeah, they didn't just let him go. They
in his mind they did.
Yeah, and basically thought that it was a dream. But no, they implanted him with a bug. I don't want to
talk about that.
That was so that's where I got like the horror elements and like the inspiration of Alien, like just like so good. Listeners, what they do, if you haven't seen it, is they make Neo basically shut up after Neo told them to, just like, screw you. I'm not giving into any of this. Like,
how do they make him shut up though? Do they erase his mouth?
They literally erase his mouth. Basically, what they do is they put skin over his mouth and he can't talk. And then they put a bug in his belly button, and I'll just say bug. Like, go watch it if you haven't. It's very
mechanical
creepy.
Lobster with lots of feelers.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then Neo wakes up. He wakes up and he believes that's a dream, but lo and behold, Trinity gets in contact with him again, and it wasn't. So they're in a car. Trinity literally gets this, like, I don't know, a t-shirt cannon type like
BFG.
BFG, and just like puts it on his belly button and gets the bug out. And he's freaking out. He's like, "Oh, that thing's real," and stuff like that. And so now Neo is kind of starting to see all these different things that go into what the Matrix is. And so
let's talk about the computer graphics that they included in that scene alone when Trinity sucks this thing out of the belly button. It is liquid and it is moving and it is something that is an organism. And then it shows her open the window and dump out the vial that it had it in it, and it instantly changes into a piece of metal, as if it was a machine the whole time.
That brings me to just a point. Like, guys, this is a 1999 film, and the CG it holds up so well.
Yeah.
It's just, man, it's amazing. And so yeah, basically, Morpheus finally meets Neo, and here's where he gives Neo the choice of 2 pills. Now, red is there's a red and a blue pill. Red is to reveal the truth about the Matrix, and blue is to forget everything and return to his former life. So Neo takes which pill?
I want to talk about the cinematography. About that cut right there. Because when Morpheus holds out the pills, they do something very interesting that I've never seen done before in all of the films that I've watched. Is the camera takes point right up against Morpheus's face, up against his glasses almost, so you can see the reflection of both pills and his hands in each of the lenses. And it really shows that split choice that Neo is going to have to take here, either taking the red or the blue pill.
And what pill does he take?
The blue
one.
What?
What you cut out there? What did he take?
Oh, well, the red pill signifies the waking up, and the blue pill signifies going back into the Matrix. And at this point, Neo is like, that was real? and Morpheus just told me this whole story about how the truth of the world. So the red pill. Yeah.
He takes the red pill, ladies and gentlemen, and then he wakes up. Neo takes the red pill. His reality begins to distort, and he soon awakens in a liquid-filled pod among countless others, containing other humans. And then he is brought aboard Morpheus's flying ship, the Nebuchadnezzar. So basically, Morpheus then, starts telling him, Neo, it's like, Neo's still discombobulated. They kind of fix him up. They get the plugs inserted into him so that he's able to return to the Matrix. So Morpheus starts telling him about, there's a last remnant of humans that are in the city of Zion. And then we start filling in the puzzle pieces here, right? The agents are actually after the people of Zion. So this last remaining remnant of humans, that Neo is supposedly the chosen savior of those people away from, to basically save these humans from the agents. So it's really cool. You kind of meet his crew there. It's just again, another sci-fi moment of just like realizing like, okay, he's actually part of this real world, but the Matrix is actually, the Matrix is almost real life in a sense, because like they are basically refugees. They are a group of people that are rebellion right now. And so the truth that Neo thought was the truth is no longer. So and then we get to a moment where Neo is plugged back into the Matrix and he tries it out. What you got on that, Justin?
Are you talking about the training program?
Yes, the training program.
So this is the first example of Neo going back in after being woke, and he sees Morpheus do something that in the real world would be impossible. And we've seen this earlier in the film, almost in the opening scene with one of the agents and with Trinity, jumping a very far distance, and even the police officers at the beginning were like, "What? That's impossible." And yet Morpheus jumps across from skyscraper to skyscraper like Superman would, or the Hulk would, and Neo is blown away by it. He said, "That's impossible. You can't do that." And it's all about believing that you can and knowing that you can. And at this point, the people on the outside of the Matrix are kind of watching the code, because that's how they view it. They view it through the code. If you're viewing my background, that is the code.
Our video background has the code too.
Yeah, it is how people outside the Matrix can read the code. That it looks like images to them.
Yeah,
but they would be reading it.
I'm sorry, Justin. I gotta stop you because you're blowing over my favorite scene in the whole movie. And that is
jump?
No, him fighting Morpheus, the kung fu.
Well, that's later.
Moment. No, it isn't. It's right now.
What?
Yeah, isn't it before the jump?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, that would be. I thought we were going to do the whole loading scene because before before the fight,
that too. We skipped that too, technically.
Yeah, think of being plugged in and putting in a disc and preloading your entire game and knowing everything about it.
A floppy disk, by the way.
A floppy, yeah. And that would be
listeners.
For
by
each
the way,
thing.
A floppy disk is like this little square thing that we used to have to plug into a computer. It was kind of like it wasn't a CD. It was just like a kind of a huge switch cart. It was just like a huge switch cart, and you plugged it in, and that's how you played Doom.
Doom would never fit on a floppy disk.
Yes, it would. I played off a floppy disk.
Yeah, it would.
Anyway,
floppy disk is very small. Yeah. So
small.
Well, I meant space wise, storage space wise.
Yes,
very small. Grand Theft Auto 5 would be like 85 or 86 floppy disks.
Yeah.
So they load in pretty much training for anything: gun control, weapons, fighting, different fighting styles. Through floppy disk. They just plug it into and it. That it's just loaded into your memory and you're able to do
Neo
it.
does this for 10 hours and it's the longest that they've ever done a training program ever with somebody. Yeah. And so there's obviously something that's special about Neo.
They even another quote that is kind of a little foreshadowing is Tank, I believe is the name of the person that is loading him, says he's a machine. And because he's able to go for so long and load all these things.
Yeah.
And then Neo is waiting to get loaded with something else, I'm guessing. And Morpheus walks up and he's like, I know Kung Fu. And Morpheus says, show me.
So the lizard they go into this kung fu simulation where Neo is fighting Morpheus, and this is my favorite scene in the whole movie. Because first of all, I love kung fu. Kung fu movies are one of my favorite genres. The Warrior from HBO Max is one of my favorite shows of all time. Just I love kung fu movies. Bruce Lee is awesome. I love all those guys. Jackie Chan, all them, Jet Li. So anyway, I love kung fu, and just the reason why this is my favorite scene is not because of the kung fu, but because the music behind their fight is just beat for beat perfect with their moves. And the way they utilize the soundtrack here, the way they utilize the music is second to none. It is so mind-boggling perfect. It is just amazing how they manipulate the music with their body manipulations in their fight. And then I just I remember watching that, and then I was talking to Joe that day as well, watching it. It was just I think this is one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema history. It is so perfect. And then that's when they get to that's when they kind of figure out where the Neo is kind of he ends up kind of going 1-to-1 with Morpheus a little bit, and then Morpheus is okay, on to the next step. And so they travel to the jump, right? And then Neo just falls flat onto he can't jump across because, as you said, he does not believe. And that's kind of his whole issue throughout this whole thing, is that Morpheus believes so much that Neo is the one, that he is the true savior of the Matrix, but Neo doesn't believe it yet. And that's kind of the whole journey that we're on. So yeah, let's push ahead a little bit. I know we're running a little long here, but so the group enters the Matrix. So the group as a whole enters the Matrix to visit the Oracle. And the one big caveat that you have from this is they go and visit the Oracle, but Cypher, Joe Pantoliano's character, is another human that is freed by Morpheus, and he goes into the Matrix with them, but he has a back-end deal with the agents to deliver Morpheus. Mm-hmm. And this is once again where I got those Alien vibes. Like in Alien, there is a cyborg.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I just put 2 and 2 together again. His name is Cyborg in the Matrix. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. In Alien, there's a cyborg that has literally been communicating with the xenomorphs this whole time on this mission. And the cyborg, oh my... I might need to end the podcast now. My mind is too blown. But... Oh, his name is Cypher. Never mind.
Yeah,
all right. My mind's not that blown.
Hey, it still starts with a C, right?
Yeah, whatever. Sure. I'm not as happy about it. Anyway, there's a cyborg. There's a cyborg in Alien that, is also in context with the xenomorphs, just like Cypher is in context with the agents as well, to deliver Morpheus to them. So
yeah.
So yeah, and then they go see the Oracle, and Justin, you wanted to talk a little bit about the Oracle scenes. Go ahead.
Well, the Oracle scenes have a lot to do with kind of the mystical side of things. When he first walks into her room, she warns him not to worry about a vase. And then he does a turn to look behind him about, like, what vase? And ends up knocking it over and breaking it. And he was like, how did you know about the vase? And she says, the real question is, would you have broke it if I would have said anything? And those quotes like that they make you think. They really make you think about, where's she coming from? And she tells him what she sees in him. And it is not what everyone else wanted to hear, but it is what he needed to hear. And that's the thing, that he's just a normal guy, and he's waiting on something.
Yeah, I think the caveat there, though, and what makes it so interesting, is that Morpheus has already been to the Oracle before this Neo guy has come. Mm-hmm. And the Oracle told him that Neo was the one. Mm-hmm. Told him. And then Neo goes to the Oracle, and she tells him that he is not the one.
He's got the gift, but he's waiting for something.
But he's not the one. And so, but the caveat to that all is that when Morpheus meets Neo again, Morpheus doesn't want him to tell what the Oracle told him. And so I thought that was so cool that, like, Morpheus, no matter what was told, he's not going to listen. He truly 100% believes that Neo is the one.
A little spoiler here, but not only is Morpheus told that he will find the one, and Neo is told that he's not the one, but on another side, Trinity was told something as well when she went to see the Oracle, and it was that she would fall in love with a man, and that man would be the one.
Yeah, and then later on in the movie, Neo is in the Matrix fighting the agents, and Trinity is out of the Matrix and spills the guts that she has fallen in love. And so, like, what's so cool is that just, like, you see these kind of, like, pieces, like, work together for the good of the one, right?
Yeah.
And that's just what's so brilliant about this whole thing. So the Oracle tells him that he's not the one. They go on from there, but the agents know where they're at because Cypher has told them. And so this whole bugaloo, like Cipher kind of gives up Morpheus's location. The agents end up catching Morpheus, and also Cipher ends up getting out of the Matrix before everybody else and starts to kill the people in the real world, which if you are killed in the real world, you're also killed in the Matrix. And you're just plugged in at that point. Yeah, you're not plugged in. And you're just dead. So yeah, kind of like the betrayer, you just kind of got this like horror film, like, sci-fi, like Judas type thing. If you don't see some like biblical parallels, like the story, to this, like it's just there, guys. Like, I mean, Nebuchadnezzar is their ship. That's a Bible character, so like you just kind of see it, like you kind of got this Judas figure in
the Trinity.
Cipher. Yeah. you got this Judas figure that is is the betrayer. And then Cipher ends up murdering some of the other crew members, but Tank actually regains consciousness and kills Cipher before Neo and Trinity are pulled out of the Matrix, and so they are saved. Which
one of the big things that happen
pieces
right
are lining up.
One of the big things that happen there is after Tank saves the day, when the phone starts ringing again, only one person is able to transport at a time, and Neo hands the phone to Trinity to get Trinity out first, letting people go before him, even if he thinks he is the one. Even if they think he is the one, he lets them go first. Another biblical reference.
Yeah, it's just all there. And like, I'm sorry, listeners, if you're like, why are these Bible guys, talking about this? Like, it's. Even with the parallels to the Bible story, like the story itself is just a tried and true, like good storytelling device, that there's just this like one person that is the savior to all. Like it's just a good sci-fi film regardless. So yeah, so the agents end up interrogating Morpheus to learn his access code to the mainframe computer where he knows where that is in Zion. So basically it is revealed at this point that the agents, the cyborgs behind all this thing, the artificial intelligence, they actually don't know where Zion is located.
Yeah.
And Morpheus does. And so they're trying to interrogate him. Morpheus ends up not giving in. But Trinity and Neo go back into the Matrix.
Do something ridiculous.
Yeah, to save Morpheus. And so here's the, the third act, we had the climax. Morpheus is taken, and here's now the third act. And Neo and Trinity are just awesome. Like they're just so cool. You get this scene where they know where Morpheus is, and then they have a battle on the first floor.
Yeah, I know that you missed out on Conker's Bad Fur Day when it came out, and there is a scene that is parallel, because there used to be some movie tie-ins to that game that you play as Conker and jump around as Neo and Trinity in this hallway, in this first floor lobby-esque pillar-filled hallway with guns shooting at you everywhere. And the action and the music alone is powerful. You can just listen to that when you work out. But the action coinciding perfectly with the music, again, like you said, with the fight scene, makes this scene perfect. You see them use skills that are kind of like, that wouldn't happen in the real world, but they can do it in the Matrix because they believe they can. And you see all these agents and these guns shooting at them, and they're able to fight their way through what seems to be an impossible task and make their way to the elevator. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of my favorite video games of all time is Max Payne introduced bullet time, and this is where you get bullet time, right? Like this is kind of the slow-mo action. And it's just amazing. Again, you harken back to the cinematography. It's just amazing what they do in this one scene alone, with the action. And again, I personally don't like this scene more than like what comes later because it's more gunplay. It's more of, and I'm more of the kung fu side of that. But still, like they throw in some elements where they're running on walls, and one of my favorite scene in this actually is when Trinity. First of all, how the heck does Trinity kick that high in leather pants? I don't know. It's got to be a trick in the Matrix. Impossible.
Very stretchy.
Yeah. Anyway, but the best scene in that whole fight was when she goes up to the shotgun guy who's shooting Neo across the room, and she hits the shotgun down, and it rolls around his body, and she catches it in the best position to just behind like him. Shoot right away. It was just perfect. Man, this movie's so good.
One of the things that really get me in that scene is when they do a cartwheel, which is one of the simplest things to do in the cut. But while doing a cartwheel, they pick up a weapon, grab it, and continue to fight, as if they just cartwheeled perfectly onto the handle of this weapon to the trigger.
I love the sign that they highlight above the button of the elevator. It says "Do not use in case of a fire," and they literally just had like this huge firefight. Like it's just those little touches as well. Yeah. So basically they get to the top, they get to the floor or whatever that Morpheus is on, and they're now battling agents and stuff like that. So
they go to the roof. And that's where the most iconic scene from The Matrix takes place, is on the roof of this building, where you see, I'm just going to break it down. You see Neo go 1-to-1 with an agent, and he fires a gun at the agent. Agent dodges all the bullets, and then the agent shoots back, and Neo does the iconic lean back, almost parallel to the ground, a little lower actually than the ground, to dodge these bullets. He does get a little hit. He wasn't fast enough, but it was the first time that anyone has ever dodged or moved that fast. And even Trinity noticed. And that's how Trinity started to believe even more that this is the one, because he is dodging these bullets.
Yeah. And, that's kind of where, you see Trinity's growth as well. Like she is becoming the person that the Oracle has set her out to be as well, as she's like seeing these little minute details in Neo. And so they get onto a helicopter, and there's a Gatling gun on said helicopter. But what's cool about that is that Trinity calls back to the Nebuchadnezzar, the real world, and says, "Tank, I need to know how to fly a helicopter." And he literally puts in another floppy disk and literally teaches her the helicopter in 2 seconds. And she's like, "All right, we're good to go." So again, just kind of the immersion that you get with this movie. It's just, it's brilliant. And so, they get onto this helicopter. Neo, basically Gatling guns this whole floor against the agents, saves Morpheus. And then it's basically this huge chase scene. They're trying to figure out, and what's extremely cool is that Morpheus and Trinity eventually get out, but Neo does not have time. And here's where my favorite, one of my, my favorite part of this third act comes in, is that he finds Agent Smith, so the big honcho of the agents. And what's cool is, to start off with, is that the way Agent Smith gets there is that the agents, I believe it's shown it a bit prior to the movie, to this point now, but it shows how the agents are able to move as fast as they can because they have control, and they have the ability to see through other people's eyes within the Matrix, and then take over the body that they're seeing through, which is really, really another cool sci-fi element to that.
Off screen happened on the first scene with the truck driver. On screen, it's something that you just see the change in the person's body structure. And this was actually a homeless guy sitting in the bottom of the subway, and Agent doesn't have any judgment towards their lives. He's just going to take over. and take control. And that's what he does. The one innocent bystander the agent takes.
Yeah. So yeah, we go from there, and then here's where Neo is. He's not as fast as the agent just yet, but he's going toe to toe with him. And so he's like starting to reap the more confidence as he goes. And so yeah, this whole scene, I love the part where they're shooting at each other, and then they dive at each other, and then they got the guns at each other's head, and agent's like, "You're out of bullets." And Neo's
empty.
like,
"Yeah, you are too."
And Neo's like, "You are too." And so just kind of like they're going back and forth. Neo's starting to get faster and faster, and then like just from there like you just get this chase scene as well. First of all, the fights, the way that it's choreographed, it's all perfect again. You get this chase scene, and what's awesome about this chase scene is that they're doing the thing, but in faster time. So they're switching to different people throughout this chase scene, and Neo has no idea where they're going to come from.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just again perfect. And so all the meanwhile, they're trying to get him to a phone to get back to the real world.
Yeah.
And then eventually they get to the famous hallway of the Matrix, where Neo gets to the room where the telephone is, and what happens?
This is the quote. I stated believing and choices as keystones to this film. When it comes to believing, this is the highest point for Neo. He sees the phone. He sees agents, and agents unload clips on him, and he gets hit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just the one agent. So he kicks the door open, and the one agent is already there. He's already there and shoots him right in the chest, and then he goes in, and then he proceeds to lay several more bullets into him. So Neo is dead. So obviously Neo is not dead. If you've seen it, you know. But this, if there is one gripe I have with this film, it is this. It's just like the kiss trope, like, oh, I gotta kiss you, and then you just wake up. Like that's kind of my one gripe with this film. Otherwise, I think it's okay. Like, I understand that Trinity is going to reach this place where she ends up in love with the one, but like it's also annoying to me because films have been doing this for a long time, where the one thing that flips the script is a kiss, and that's the only gripe I have with the film.
I think when it comes to Trinity in this movie in particular, it's more about character development and character building, because at this point Trinity has been seeing signs that the Oracle was correct and that she was going to fall in love with the one, and this was her development into believing that, just as much as Neo was on the turn side of believing he was the one. This was Trinity believing that she was in love with Neo.
Yeah. And like I'm okay with it at the end of the day. Like I said, I believe this is still like a perfect film. Like that's a nitpick for me. But it's just like you've kind of seen it throughout film history a lot. And like just like she could have fallen in love, but not given a kiss, like that type of thing. It's just like, it's the kiss that kind of woke him up. But like,
in The Matrix Reloaded, we're not talking about The Matrix Reloaded, but in that film, Neo reaches inside of Trinity's chest and beats her heart for her to keep her alive.
Yeah.
Which is a similar aspect, touching someone's heart in a different way, just not a physical, kiss.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I don't find it any bit bad at all. There's a romantic undertone in this film that is so slight that it doesn't jeopardize anything.
I don't find it bad.
Batman fans. Sorry, guys.
Oh my goodness. I don't find it bad. It's just why does this physical thing have to to be the turning point. I don't know. That's just how I look at it. But anyway, so Neo wakes up. Trinity confesses her love, to him. Trinity wakes up, and Neo is revived, and he is the one. So he has powers to stop bullets. He has powers to just defeat the agents with one hand. Like, I love that part where he's just like, with just one hand behind his back and stuff like that. Like, such awesome stuff there. And then Neo actually goes inside an agent and just like bursts him from the inside.
Almost as if the agent, this is a direct visual representation of the agents not being able to contain his power, not being able to contain Neo's power, in the first film at least. And it shows that he is able to destroy them from the inside out with his strength. Yeah. And that strikes fear into the agents. Yeah. Doesn't it?
Exactly. Exactly. This is what makes this sci-fi film such a perfect sci-fi film, is that you also have real world consequences for them. So they have the consequences inside the Matrix, but also at the same time, these AIs, I forget what they're called. Do you remember what they're called? The like Sentinels or something like that? I know that's an X-Men thing. What are they called?
I think they are called Sentinels, actually.
Are they?
Are you talking about the octopus?
The crawling things, yeah.
I think they are Sentinels.
AI in the Matrix.
I believe so. When they first used the EMP in the ship, I believe they were called Sentients, maybe?
Maybe Sentient. I thought they were like Sentinels. What are the AI called in Matrix?
Squiddy?
Sentient artificial intelligence. Oh, they're just called machines. Okay.
Well, they refer to them as
They're just called the
though.
machines, but they call them sentient artificial.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what's cool about this is that they're, the machines, they have actually found the location of the Nebuchadnezzar throughout this whole thing. And so Neo is having to wrap things up in the Matrix so that he could get back to the real world so that the EMP can go off. They have this EMP that if Neo is still in the Matrix, he's going to die if the EMP goes off, because all the electricity, obviously. Do I have to explain what an EMP is? Anyway,
those are still around nowadays.
Yeah, and then just like that's what's so cool about this movie, is that there's also a real life threat to the internet threat, that they're facing. And everything falls into place. Neo does survive. He gets out of the Matrix just in time. Kind of like a bookend to the movie, where like you have Trinity getting out of the Matrix just in time before getting run over by a truck, and then you have Neo getting out just in time before the EMP goes off. So yeah, awesome. And then back in the Matrix, it cuts back to the Matrix. Neo makes a telephone call promising the machines that he will show their prisoners a world where anything is possible. He hangs up and flies away, and that,
like Superman. Not like
the Matrix. Yeah.
I'm gonna give my out of 5 stars here.
So listeners, really quick, if you don't know our rating system, it is 5 stars, but we don't use stars. We use something from the movie. And so, Justin, give us your out of 5 rating.
For The Matrix, the original 1999 film, I'm gonna give this 5 chosen ones out of 5.
Oh my goodness. And because I have talked about it too much, I'm going 5 out of 5 floppy disks. And specifically Kung Fu floppy disks. Yeah.
I'm actually getting a call here. Hold up a second.
Oh, wait, really?
I think it's Jelly.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, we're doing our Matrix review. You want me to plug you in? All right, give me 1 second.
Do you ever feel sometimes like you've been set free? Like you know what's going on? Well, I sure did after watching The Matrix, which is by far one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. You can tell me I'm wrong, but obviously you're just plugged in still. If you haven't seen The Matrix, just stop what you're doing right now. Go watch it. It's on HBO Max. It's phenomenal. It is an unbelievably good movie. I probably have watched it 10 times. Having rewatched it, though, for the first time in at least 4 or 5 years, this movie stands up. It is not just nostalgia. Obviously, there's some, dated CG effects, but with what they had, the things that they did, the revolutionary 360 camera setup that they did, they started that. Like that was them. That was their idea. Being able to jump, freeze in midair, throw a kick, see 100, or 360 degrees around, and showcase all of this. Unbelievable. The cinematography was great. The story was amazing. The acting, top notch. I can't sing its praises more. This movie is so good. I am very excited to see what the new one holds in, especially having gotten back a lot of the original cast members. If I had to pick a favorite moment from the film, let's see, I would have to go with maybe the kung fu scene with Morpheus, the Neo Morpheus fight. So good. If not, then maybe close second is the subway scene against Agent Smith. What a phenomenal movie. What unbelievably good kung fu scenes. Obviously you see telegraphing and like it's not the best choreographed. Came out in 99. Like, give it a little grace, give it a chance, and enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is, as one of the greatest stories and sci-fi films like given to us. It has been so good. I hope that you have enjoyed my thoughts on this. Back to Justin and Mike. Later, everyone.
Well, that was kind of unexpected. Joe, thank you for your review on The Matrix. Justin, thanks for plugging him in.
No problem.
Again, we missed you on this episode, but thanks so much for taking some time to help out with your review. So that is The Matrix. Let us know in the comments what you think about The Matrix. Again, we both rated it 5 out of 5. It is a perfect sci-fi film for both of us. So definitely let us know what you think. And then also look forward to, in a couple weeks, our full review on the newest one, Matrix Resurrections. So without further ado, let's talk about really quickly. We are on socials at the 90s First on all things except YouTube, which means, people, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe so that we could get to that 100 subscribers so that we could get a custom link and be at the 90s First on YouTube as well. And then if you would like to just contact us directly, you could hit us up on our email, the 90s First Podcast at gmail.com. Let us know how we're doing. If you have any questions, would love to chat with you. And then finally, leave a review. If you're on a podcasting service, just leave a star review, hit the like button on Spotify, all that stuff. Leave a review. We would love to see you, leave a review, and we will read it on the show.
We might listen to it on the show.
We will listen to it, and then we'll read it, and then we'll do the thing. So please leave a review. We would much appreciate that. And so that was our Matrix in review. I don't know what I'm saying. My name is Mike, and alongside Justin, we will catch you guys on our next episode. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth.
Oh, man.